Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Coming up, Saratoga Springs, the resort of last resort? Maybe not. From the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the DVC Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Coming to you from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined in the studio this week by co-owner and realtor with movingtoorlando.com, Mr. Sean Falk.
Hey.
Our producer, Mr. Corey Fiascanaro.
Welcome home.
Joining us via whatever, I forget which technology we're using now because it switches. DVCfan.com senior editor, Mr. Paul Krieger.
Hey, everybody.
And from disboards.com, webmaster doc, also known as Rob Lindsay.
Hello, everyone.
And joining us from the World of DVC, Marissa Valaton.
Hey, hey.
And Kerri McPherson.
Hi, everybody.
Or more like, it really is Marissa Peloton Bike. It's her stage name. Well, welcome, folks. Welcome. A reminder, our show is brought to you by the World of DVC, which includes dvcresalemarket.com, which is a very dangerous website if you are in the mood for a DVC resale contract. dvcrentalstore.com, where you can rent out your points and or rent points if you want to try DVC before you buy. And then, of course, monerafinancial.com, where you can finance your DVC resale purchase. So links to all those in the show notes below. And so this week, I decided to have a discussion about Saratoga Springs. Now, been noticing in our DVC fan Facebook group a lot of comments lately about how Saratoga really doesn't get the love it deserves. And, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I offhand dubbed Saratoga the resort of last resort, right? It always has availability because it's got, 850 million rooms. sprawling resort. And it didn't seem like a lot of people looked at Saratoga as a first choice. It was kind of like, these are cheap points, I'm going to get them. And if I absolutely need to stay at Saratoga, I will. But, so like I said, people were talking about how, Saratoga wasn't getting the love that it deserves. And recently, Fiasco had told me he wanted to do a room tour of a treehouse villa. And I hadn't been in one of the treehouse villas in eons. And so I had, just went, and there was a treehouse villa available because Saratoga. And I walked into this thing and I damn near fell over. Like I said, I've been in them before. It's been a while. But I walked in and I'm like, this is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
3 bedrooms, sleeps, 8, 9 people?
Yeah, sleeps 9 people.
9 people. And what were the average points per night for this?
So
this is what blew me away.
The most incredible thing is for the low season, you could book this treehouse for 34 points a night. And the normal rate was like 47, 48 points per night. So comparatively to the other rooms that are at this caliber, that's just insane. It's insane.
Not only that, you're away from everybody. Which, that's right up my alley. Get the hell away from me. And you feel like it reminds me a lot of being in a cabin at Fort Wilderness because it's just all trees and nature around you. And then you have this luxury unit. And I was just like, this is so nice. This would be great to come back to after a day in the parks. And they've just rehabbed all the rooms at Saratoga.
Really nice too.
And when you look at the price per night, the price per point for Saratoga, and then you look at the dues, This is a big one. Because Saratoga is so large, has so many units, the dues are spread out over a much, much larger base of owners. So the yearly dues are a lot less than you might find somewhere else. So you look at Vero Beach and you see those really inexpensive points. Then you look at the dues and go like, okay, do I get a separate mortgage contract for the dues every year? And then you look at Saratoga, and obviously they cost more than Vero Beach, but you look at the dues and like, okay, this is a lot more manageable. And so a lot of people just, I think, pick Saratoga for that reason. But there's a lot more to this, especially since this rehab. Yeah. There's a lot more to this resort that I don't think people are clued into. I wasn't. So I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about Saratoga. Now, Fiasco, you liked it quite a bit.
Oh, I mean, I do like Saratoga in general. To mention on those refurbished rooms, I did do a tour of the Grand Villa, and it is incredible. I talk about the point value per night in there, but it as well was up next to all the other Grand Villas, the best value for a Grand Villa. The Treehouse Villa, I stayed in it, and it felt like I was up in the Northeast in the woods, completely away from Disney, the same way you feel at Wilderness Lodge, but as far as points go, at a much lower point cost. And not only to mention, like, I'm a big spa person. And not all resorts even have a spa. Not all DVC resorts even have a spa. Not all deluxe resorts even have one. But Saratoga has one of the best senses. Yeah. Granted, as we're filming this video, it's not open yet. I've frequently been checking. I think the last time I checked the spa was open was this past weekend. And it's not. But it has one of the best senses as well, right up there with Grand Floridian. I mean, as far as senses go on property, you have Grand Floridian and you have Saratoga Springs. Those are the two best senses. And I'm also just quite all right with, Ship Shape and the other ones like that. Pete will disagree with me, but if you want the full spa senses experience, those are your two picks.
Well, I mean, look, if you want to go to an actual spa, yeah, I mean, Saratoga, great. If you want to get a back rub in a closet, you head over to Ship Shape. Okay, I'm just telling you. God bless him. God bless him. Anybody that'll touch him, he loves. So, all of a sudden, Ship Shape is this massive spa. Yeah. But I'm just saying, if you've actually been to spas in other places, you probably want to go to Senses. And you're right. Now, I haven't been in that spa in a while, but previous, like years ago, I used to go there all the time. And it was, at that point, it was actually owned by Nikki Bryan Salons. And I love the facility. Hated the service, but I love the facility. Gorgeous facility. Now they've made it Senses. It's an Elemis spa, right? It's an Elemis. These are Elemis spas?
I don't know.
Because that's what's on the ship. And what product do they use?
Like at the end when they try to sell you stuff.
So they've never tried to sell me products at
Well,
Senses.
because they see you come and they're like, oh no, he's so tight he squeaks. We're not going to try and sell him anything.
They have tried to sell me stuff at Four Seasons, but not at the Senses locations.
That should have been filmed. That should have been filmed.
I bought stuff though. I did. I bought a candle.
Uh-oh.
Bought a candle?
Yeah. It was like a $60 candle too. That was kind of insane.
I'm stunned.
Yeah.
But I was like in the mode,
Yeah. So that's one of the things. Now, where Saratoga falls down and hits its head, food and beverage.
Yeah.
Okay. Their food court sucks. Their table service restaurant sucks. And this has been known and talked about for a while by more people than just me. And they seem to double down on this. Saratoga fixes its food and beverage. It's a contender. Mm-hmm. It's a contender. But I want to talk to, before I come back into the studio and talk to Sean, I want to talk to our World of DVC folks. What's your take on Saratoga?
I like Saratoga Springs. I always have. I remember touring it in 2004 as a cast member when it first was opening and they did their open mouse. That's what it's called. And so we did the tour and I loved it. I think if you're going to do a Disney trip that you're not going to be running to the parks as much. You're going to stay a little bit more closer to the resort, do something at the spa, enjoy the pool, walk over to downtown, oh, not downtown Disney,
It's fine to call it that.
Wow.
Disney Springs. Is it okay that I said that?
Wow.
It's absolutely okay.
All right, Disney Springs. I know, old school over here, right?
Master Kerri.
That's what I love Saratoga for, is a long weekend, something where you're going to just relax and enjoy the resort. I completely agree with Pete on the food and beverage. It's a miss, big time. I think they need to zhuzh that up a little bit, and there's a lot of opportunity there.
I like that she said
And-
zhuzh.
Zhuzh, oh
Zhuzh.
yes,
Zhuzh
zhuzh
it
that
up.
up a little bit. Yeah, and I love the tree houses as well. So I'm kind of in alignment with everybody else. I think that there's great points, and then there's some big misses that could be easily fixed. But I'm a fan of Saratoga.
And yet, as you point out, if you're in that Congress Park area or around the main building, the walk over to Disney's, oh my God,
It's fine.
Disney
to call it
Springs.
that.
It's like
Did you say
it's
two?
viral.
You're starting to
The
trend
walk
here.
over to Disney Springs is great. And, when we did a dining review at the Turf Club, which is the table service, Sean had pointed out that when you are that close to that many good restaurants and this is the garbage you're serving for dinner,
Mhm.
what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I just don't understand why they haven't fixed that. And I'm sitting here on DVC Resale Market's website, and this is the worst part of this job. It really is. Got a 200-point contract for $125 a point. I mean, compare that to some of the other places. And I also got to give a plug to the DVC Resale Market app, the phone app. Oh my God, it's good. I had no idea how good it was. I used it for the first time when we were in the Treehouse Villa. I'm like, wow, I really like this app. Better late than never. But, all right, so Sean, your thoughts?
I mean, it's fine. Like, I think Saratoga's okay. I think it is what it is. I don't think that I'm ever going to believe that Saratoga Springs is this oasis of a resort or something. I mean, it's fine for what it is. I would if tomorrow Disney told me they were switching out Riverside, I mean, if they were switching out Saratoga Springs and it was no longer a DVC resort and they were going to make Riverside or Coronado Springs or something like that, and that was going to become that, and they were going to throw a spa in, I would be like, cool, because to me it's on the same level. So I don't think there's a lot of daylight between those, and it's fine. There's nothing. Saratoga Springs is a perfectly fine resort. I agree with the moniker like resort of last resort because I think that's what it's good for. It's like old reliable, I guess. Like, I don't know. I mean, that's just like the best thing to say about it. There's nothing wrong with it. And it's a great way to save points. If that's the only way you can get into DVC and you want, I mean, if it's so close points-wise with Old Key West, I would drastically rather stay at Old Key West than I would Saratoga. So it's
Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing with you at all. It's just that you make that comparison, but your only other you have the studio, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and grand villas at Old Key West. Here you got that tree house. You got that tree house in between the 2-bedroom and the grand villa, and then you talk those price points and the uniqueness of the experience. That's kind of what hooked me. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I think Saratoga Springs generally is fine, but I think I misjudged it as the resort of last resort. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that throughout time I was doing the shows, like it sounded like I'm being harder on it, but like, I mean, I'm somebody who grew up staying in the All-Star resorts and Pop Century and stuff, so it's not like I'm casting any dispersion on it that like people who stay there, it's not good or anything like that. It's a perfectly fine resort. It's just if you could stay somewhere else, you probably would. So I don't think, I think that if for the majority of people, I think if you actively had 1,000 points paid for you to use in any way you wanted to, I think Saratoga would be the absolute bottom of almost everyone's list. So I think it'd be pretty close to the bottom.
It's one of the reasons I want to do this show. I think that's why a lot of people don't try it. And I think a lot of attitudes have kind of been formed by that. But I would challenge people to try it if you haven't. But Paul, let's go over to you. What say you?
So back in February, my wife Amy wrote an article on DVC Fan called "Showing Love to Disney's Saratoga Springs Resort and Spa," and I think that this article was actually a direct response to you, Pete, calling it the resort of last resorts, because
so she was being passive aggressive with me on my own website.
She loves Saratoga Springs. I love Saratoga Springs. It is actually where our welcome home stay was. So it holds a special place in our heart. I think the refurbishment that they've been doing to Saratoga Springs is going to be a game changer for this resort. We're already sort of seeing its popularity increase just because of how beautiful the new rooms that they're doing are. And that's almost completely finished. I think it'll be completely done by June. But I would agree with what you're saying about resale as well, is that these are an amazing value for what you get. And to challenge Sean's point a little bit, these are also amazing points that are like perfect for cabin points or bungalow points. So you can get a large chunk of points at Saratoga Springs cheaply. And even if you don't like staying at
Did you have to say that to me? Did you really have to say that to me? I'm literally on their site right now. I'm literally on the DVC resale market site right now. And then you got to
sure
give that
Eric
pitch.
is anxiously awaiting your call. Or Marissa.
And a lot of these are sale pending, offer accepted. And they're going, but depending on the size of the contract, they're going between 119 and 135, 138 a night, a point. That's a good point, though, about buying up cheap bungalow points.
Yeah.
Or like Grand Villa points or whatever. Like if you are somebody that does the Grand Villas. I know Jackie's talked before, like they would go to Old Key West every couple of years and pool points because they would only get the really large rooms for family reunions.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, Rob, what do you think?
I've loved Saratoga for years. Saratoga, or the area that's now the Saratoga Resort, opened in 1975, 16 years before Old Key West did. It was originally called the Lake Buena Vista Resort.
Right.
And the Lake Buena Vista Shopping Center. Originally, they had some model homes that were to be a residential area when they were still trying to figure out how to make Epcot as Walt wanted it. And they eventually realized that if they were going to have residents in there that were going to have voting privileges and have to pay taxes and so forth, that they just legal got a hold of it and said, no, we can't do that. But they originally had 4 Buena Vista Suites, they were called, that were standalone homes that slept 9 people. And then they had Fairway Villas, and they had townhouses. Many of those were kept when they did the Institute. They even had tree houses. Now, not the original tree houses are not what's there now. Same location, but they were a very different beast. They housed cast members in there at some point before they refurbed everything and tore all the old ones down and then put the new tree houses in there when Saratoga was built. But it's a great area. It's been used continuously since 1975. It's right next door to Disney Springs, or whatever we want to call it. And it's a wonderful area. It's a 10-minute bus ride to the Magic Kingdom. So it's pretty accessible to everything. It's just that it's not within walking distance to a theme park.
Now, another
Great
one
area, though.
Another one of the downsides, though, is because of the size of the resort, sometimes the bus loops can be like, you want to hang yourself.
Yeah.
They can get really, really long. Now, I'll throw this out, just World of DVC folks. Been seeing the prices on Saratoga start to rise. What's going on? What are you doing?
So I think we've seen prices rise overall when it comes to DVC and resale in general. And I think a lot of that's just due to kind of the combination of people are ready to travel again, Disney's opening, taking away some of their restrictions, and then of course the 50th anniversary. So it's kind of come to that perfect head to see prices rise, and Saratoga has gone pretty standard with the rest. But one of the things, and Paul touched on it a little bit, and so did you, Pete, it's just that overall value, right? So we do an economic breakdown of where is going to be the best value when it comes to resort. And Saratoga typically falls number one, if not number two. So it is going to be for those families who say, hey, we're not planning more than 7 months in advance, then it's kind of fair playing field. So go for the best value, which typically always is Saratoga. One of the things I love about it is just the activity. So if you are a golfer, my husband and I, we love tennis. So we actually love Saratoga because we love the spa and we love being able to play tennis. And then the boathouse is our favorite restaurant. So we get to do all of that right in that area with kind of that Disney stay. Like Paul said, I think it also helps the refurbishment because it is really, really beautiful. So I think people go, okay, now it's got activities enough around it. It's always going to be best value overall. But now we can stay in beautiful rooms as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot going for it. I understand it's not everybody's cup of tea. It's not themed as much. I'm not gonna say as well. Not themed as much as, let's say, the Grand Floridian or Copper Creek, Boulder Ridge. But it has a charm of its own. And it's very relaxing. I think that's what got me. And I think one of the reasons I think Saratoga may see more love, even if we're coming to Disney World on vacation, in the world we live in today, we are looking to get away in a manner that we don't normally look to get away. People are vacationing with purpose now. I mean, I'm heading to Sedona in a week and a half because I want to be in the friggin' desert. People are vacationing with purpose. And I think Saratoga fills a unique spot right now.
Yeah.
That none of the other resorts can. Because you're on Disney property, you have the amenities of being on Disney property, but you also have this sense of being kind of like, especially looking at it being in this treehouse.
Yeah.
Like, there's nobody else in the world right now. And I think that also was part of what attracted me to it. So I think Saratoga may see, I don't know if I can call it a renaissance, because it never had an essence, but I think it's might be something that people start looking at differently in this new world order. That's my thought.
So you
Sean
just
is looking at me like, yeah, what?
No, I was just thinking about you calling it a new world
yeah,
order.
there's going to be a conspiracy theory about
Well, it
the
is.
show
I
now.
mean, like, aren't we? Aren't we?
It's like,
I mean, what would you call this cluster that's going on right now?
And also, apparently, if you become a member and your home resort is Saratoga Springs, you might just become a member of the New World Order.
yeah.
Oh, is this going to be a thing now? This is going to be a thing? Really? Really?
Most definitely.
It needs a thing.
You know, and sometimes just for the DVC rental store, sometimes you can rent out DVC points at Saratoga for as low as $12 a point as well. So that's a great try before you buy. If you say, well, kind of convinced with this show, but I'm not really sure, check out DVC rental store because we've got some really great reservations right now for the month of June it would be.
All right. Well, there you have it. Our thoughts on Saratoga Springs. Please share your thoughts in the comments on this video. And also, while you're doing that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and so you can be notified, and the bell so you can be notified when we add new videos. to this channel and also the thumbs up really helps us out a lot with YouTube. So that will do it for this week's episode of the DVC show. I almost forgot what show I was doing.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. We'll see you again next week. Have a great week, folks.